We're gonna take the warm-up now to the next level, doing more kneeling and then standing work to get a more full body dynamic warm-up. We're gonna start seated on our heels. Our knees are gonna be hip-width apart. Hands are in a genie position, keeping our spine nice and straight, crown of the head towards the ceiling. We're doing half squats for 5. So you're gonna think about your pelvis staying in a neutral position, driving through the hips at the top. You're gonna curl your pelvis under and really squeeze through the hips to activate through the glutes. You're gonna repeat for 5, keeping your body upright. So what I mean by that is trying not to pitch your body forward as you sit down or pitch it forward as you come up, keeping in the upright position and driving through the hips. 2 more times, squeeze. And again at the top, curl the pelvis and squeeze. You're gonna take a seat, bring the knees together, and then we're gonna take that into a lunge position. So you're gonna come up through your half squat, transfer weight into one leg, step the opposite leg forward, curl the pelvis at the top, squeeze the hip, and drive it forward as you feel the opening stretch through the front of your hip. Step back and take a seat. Let's do 5 on the same side. So we're gonna drive up through your half squat, step forward into your lunge, curl the pelvis, drive the hip forward, and take a seat back down. You can make this quite dynamic as long as you're squeezing or sequencing properly, thinking about all the little pieces of curling through the pelvis and activating the hip as you press forward. Woo, let's go 5 on the other side. Half squat, step, curl, and glide. Curl, squeeze, and glide. Okay, 3 more. We're gonna do 5 on this side as well. Last one. Okay, finishing in the upright position, we're gonna go back to our original leg. So we're kneeling on our right knee, our left foot is gonna be forward. From here, we're just gonna hold the stretch. So you're gonna curl the pelvis, squeeze and glide. We're just gonna hold for 5 seconds. For 5, 3, 2, 1. Release, curl the pelvis, squeeze and glide. Notice you're squeezing and gliding and it's like the hip is opening up. So you start in the stretch, but the stretch will release and increase as you continue to hold it. And then let it go. We're gonna take the stretch from the front of the hip more down into the upper part of the thigh. So just gonna release the hip back slightly, turn your back toe under, and just that sequencing of the flexing of the ankle is gonna take that stretch into a different position in your body. So you're gonna curl your pelvis, squeeze your hip, and press the hip forward. Hold for 5. And release, curl the pelvis, squeeze the hip and glide it forward. For 3, 2, 1, we're gonna take this into a mobilization now. You might wanna place the hands on your hips or hold them in another position that helps you stay a bit more balanced, because this definitely requires some stability. Most people struggle with stability when they're in the lunge position. You're gonna come to standing. You're in this long, straight, split stance position. My heel is lifted. If you plant the heel down, the tendency is for most people need to turn it. So we wanna keep the heel lifted so that we have both feet straight so that our hips and knees are tracking straight the whole time. You're gonna slowly glide down through your lunge position, ideally your knees just a little bit back past your hip joint. You're curling the pelvis and squeezing the hip to slowly lower down. We're taking about 5 seconds to do that. I like to hold the stretch at the bottom because you get a really juicy stretch in your thigh at the bottom. You're gonna hold it there for 2 seconds and then return. Curl, squeeze the hip and glide for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold the stretch for 2 seconds and lift. 2 more. Curl, squeeze and glide for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and hold. 1 more time. Lift, curl, and glide for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You're gonna walk your front foot a little bit wide. Take your hands down to your instep. Try to keep your back relatively flat. You're gonna walk your back knee back and lower your pelvis to the floor while keeping your front knee stacked over your ankle. Staying nice and low. You're going to turn your back toe under and straighten through the back leg. Now the tendency, even when your leg is straight, is to feel a little bit of slack in the back of the knee. I really want you to think of pressing through your back heel and squeezing this thigh so that your leg is very, very straight. We're holding the stretch here. Mostly you're going to feel the stretch a little bit through the front of this hip, but also quite a bit through the back of your front leg. Okay, so through the hip and through the groin slightly. Holding this stretch for 10 seconds. Dropping the back knee, allowing the pelvis to lower to the floor. And if you can lower your torso a little bit more, some people can even come down onto their elbows. On this hip, I cannot do that, but you might be able to. Really allow your torso to drop forward and press the hip towards the floor. A few more seconds. Okay, so we have to do that, just the lunge sequence part on the other side, for which I'm just going to turn around. Okay, so we're back in this split stance position or the lunge position. We're thinking about just holding the stretch first. So you're curling the pelvis, squeezing the hip, and just gliding forward, holding the stretch and feeling the hip flexors release and open. 2, for 1, we release. Try and retuck the pelvis, activate through the buttocks. You're just squeezing it to press the hip forward. Activating through the glute helps to release through the hip flexor. For 2, for 1, release. To stretch now more through the front of the thigh, we're going to release the hip back slightly to create some slack so that we can turn the toes under and then reproduce the stretch. So you're going to tuck the pelvis if you can, squeeze the hip and glide forward. Our fronts of our thighs are usually really, really tight. So if you feel like you don't go very far, that's very normal. And if you have a hard time turning your toes under, that is also very normal. Our thighs tend to be quite tight. Release back, curl through the pelvis, squeeze the hip and glide. For 3, for 2, for 1. Again, we're going to come to standing. We have 4 reps of this very challenging exercise, but it feels good to open up those thighs. You're going to curl through the pelvis, keep the back foot nice and straight, heel lifted. You're gliding down on a 5 count. Think of the pelvis wheeling under the whole time, or pulling the pubic bone up to the belly button. When you're at the bottom, you're going to hold the stretch, keep tucking and pressing for 2, for 1. We're raising up, curl, and glide for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold the stretch for 2. We're halfway. We got 2 to go. We're going to lift, curl, and glide for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Curl, squeeze, hold for 2, for 1, and lift, curl, glide for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Tuck, squeeze, hold for 2, for 1. Our deep lunge stretch. Walk the front foot a little bit wide. Take your hands down to the instep of that front foot. Keeping the front knee stacked over the ankle, you're going to glide the back knee back, reach it down the mat. Lower your chest towards the floor, turn your back toe under, push through that back heel again. Squeeze the thigh of the back leg. So you're really trying to straighten that leg, press through the heel actively, and lower the pelvis to the floor. I'm slightly pulling the knee of the front leg wide to create some space through that front hip to increase the stretch. For 3, for 2, for 1, lower the back knee. And again, if you can walk down onto your elbows or just work to lower your chest to the floor. To increase the stretch, you're actively pushing the pelvis down towards the floor. Okay. I bet you're glad we completed that dynamic warm-up. This particular series is to help people learn how to stabilize their spine in a 3-dimensional way. When we're in the 4-point position, which we're going to be for this series, it can be really difficult to really know if your pelvis is in the right position and that you're able to maintain neutral spine, or even be able to stabilize a neutral spine when you're having to perform higher level exercises. By placing our pelvis up against the ball, we have some feedback around where our pelvic position is in space and have something that we can press into, which helps create stability through our torso in a three-dimensional way. So hopefully with some good breathing here, you'll notice how you're stabilizing through your lower back as well as bracing through your front. When we're engaging through the core and we're creating a core brace, it really is a three-dimensional exercise, meaning you should feel the activity in your lower back through the sides and through the front, although in truth, most people mostly notice that core engagement through the front of their body. But hopefully over time you start to realize how three-dimensional it is. To set up, we're going to be in the 4-point position, as I said, and you're going to place your hips up against the wall. The wall is, up against the ball. The ball is going to be against the wall, so you need to sort of position yourself so that you can do that, because we want the ball to be able to stay in one space. You're going to walk yourself back into the ball so that you're able to press your pelvis into the ball. This might mean for some people, if you have a really long leg, that their feet are literally flush up against the wall. I don't have a really long leg, so that's not the case for me. But you want to be able to make sure that your hip is stacked over your knee, so you're not sort of knees tucked underneath your body like this. You're not going to feel your core if you do that, so you have to walk the knees back. From there, your hands for this 4-point position are in truth ever so slightly in front of the shoulders. Normally we say under the shoulder. This one you are ever so slightly in front. To begin, we're just going to focus on creating our deep abdominal brace. So you're going to go inhale, fill up your back, brace, and then press into the ball. Now, at first, you're gonna feel like you're pushing primarily with your upper body, but I do want you to feel like you're pulling your pelvis into the ball and holding it here for 4, for 3, for 2, for 1, and release. Stay for a breath, and pull back. This is called a hip rock exercise. For 7, keep pulling. For 6, for 5, for 4, for 3, for 2, for 1, and release. We're gonna add in some overhead reaching here now, which is gonna cause us to have to work harder to stabilize through the shoulder that's supporting us. Inhale to prepare, exhale to brace, and lift your right hand up and overhead, and hold for 2, for 1, and replace. Take a breath. Press into the ball and lift the left arm up and overhead and hold for 2, for 1. You're gonna notice, yes, a lot more work through your shoulder here, but you should also feel how your core is having to stabilize to keep some pressure on the ball. For 2, for 1, and replace. Take a breath, press, and lift, and hold for 2, for 1, and replace. Shoulders down, press, and lift for 2, for 1, and replace. 2 more. Press and lift for 2, for 1. 1 more. Press and lift for 2, for 1, and replace. Now the ball is just primarily providing feedback. We're not having as much pressure on the ball, but it's giving us feedback that our hips are not rocking from side to side as we try and create rotation through our upper body. You're just gonna hold the position, lift one hand, reach it underneath the opposite side of your body, the eye of the needle position, come through to square, and then push out of your stabilizing shoulder to look sideways and reach and rotate up to the ceiling and return. Eye of the needle, square, rotate and reach for 2, for 1, and return. Lift, eye of the needle, square, rotate, and reach for 2, for 1, return to square, eye of the needle, square, rotate, and reach for 2, for 1. One more time. Take a breath, eye of the needle, square, rotate, and reach for 2, for 1, and return. Eye of the needle, square, rotate, and reach for 2, for 1, and return. For our next exercise, we're going to use the ball still up against the wall to help us feel articulation through our spine. In truth, even though we're trying to move our spine sequentially, it can take time before we build that mind-body connection that we really feel like our spine is able to articulate one vertebra at a time. This exercise can be helpful for that. So I'm just going to turn my mat and place the ball up against the wall and sit in nice and tight to the ball in an L-sit position. Scoot your hips back as tight as you possibly can. From here, you're sitting up nice and tall. You're gonna stretch up towards the ceiling and then drop the chin. You're gonna press your spine into the ball and try and flex the spine, rolling down one vertebra at a time until you're rounding up and over your legs. Stay for a breath. Then flex through your lower back, pressing your lower back into the ball and lengthen back up through the spine to sitting up nice and tall. Inhale to reach up. Exhale, rolling down, pressing your spine into the ball as you flex and fold down over your legs. Stay for a breath. Again, press your lower back into the ball as you slowly stack the spine and sit up nice and tall. One more time, inhale. Drop the chin, press into the ball, rolling down, sequencing through the spine and folding forward. Stay for a breath. Flex through the lower back, stack the spine, sitting up nice and tall. Inhale to lengthen. You're gonna lift your breastbone and look up the wall ahead of you and then across the ceiling to open up your chest and shoulders over the ball. And return to the stop position. Again, I like to inhale as I lift the breastbone. That sense of drawing breath down into the diaphragm does help you lift the rib cage and open up through extension. And then exhale, we'll drop the rib cage as we return to the stop position. We initiate extension by slightly extending through our neck, but then we want to hold our neck position as we lift the breastbone, so we're not just letting the neck collapse backwards as you open up. And return to the stop position one more time. Inhale, lift the breastbone, look up the wall, look across the ceiling, open the arms around the ball, and return. It's a nice warm-up series to activate through the muscles of the upper back and shoulders.